I figured out a way to make a pretty good living just by taking people out on safari. A few years later, I opened up my own consulting company. We specialized in setting up safari operations. I thoroughly enjoyed watching my bank account and my reputation grow. I'm almost certain that I'd still be running my company today if I hadn't had a really bad day at the office. I remember waking up on the morning of Saturday, March the 9th, 1996. I was quite excited and a little nervous too. I'd picked up the clients a little earlier on that afternoon at their hotels. There was a middle-aged married couple from Germany and two young couples from France. I would always start with a safety talk. You see, this could be quite tricky as I didn't want to scare anyone, but I needed to make sure that they understood that out there in the wild, we were the intruders. And that on the river, there was always the chance that things could go horribly wrong. Everyone was just having a wonderful time, sipping on their cocktails, munching on their finger snacks. A little while later, we came across a pod of about a dozen hippo. They were all just wallowing in the shallows. I started telling Joe and Gundi a little bit about hippos. I didn't want to scare Gundi, so I didn't mention that hippos are responsible for killing more people than any other animal. Then I led the way to the narrow channel that would take us safely past the danger. When I got to the channel, I turned to check that everyone was where they were supposed to be. And sure enough, Ben was right behind me and Mac was right alongside him. But Evans had fallen back a bit. So to give him a chance just to catch up, I put my paddle down and just drifted. The scenery there was spectacular. That it was dusk and the world was softly backlit just added to the experience. We all just took a moment and soaked in the peace and the tranquility. I turned just in time to see Evans flying through the air before he splashed into the river. My mind sprung into crisis mode.
Oh no, not there, to the back, get to the back!
Ben, get everyone to the rocks. Paddling towards Evans. Hang in there, I'm coming to get you. I leant over to grab a hold of his outstretched hand, and as our fingers almost touched, my world went dark and strangely quiet. A few very long seconds ticked by as I tried to figure out what was going on. From my waist up, I was not dry, but I wasn't wet either, not like my legs were. I was head first, up to my waist, down a hippo's throat. I pushed and I pulled and I wiggled about, all to no avail. Then the monster loosened his grip, long enough for me to escape, bursting to the surface, and came face to face with Evans. I remember looking up and I could see the different hues of green and yellow, the sunlight shimmering on the water's surface. I watched my blood mingle with the water, and I wondered which would happen first, if I'd bleed to death or if I'd drown. The hippo let me go again. The next thing I knew, the front of Mac's little red kayak appeared inches from my face, and I managed to grab a hold of the handle on the boat's nose. And Mac showing incredible bravery, risked his life and came and saved me. I made the mistake of taking a look at myself. My one arm, from the elbow up, it had been crushed to a pulp, and from the elbow down it had been stripped of all its flesh. Then a strange thing happened. I went incredibly calm and all the pain went away. And I knew that it was my moment of choice. I knew right there and then I could shut my eyes, I could drift off, I could call it a day. Or I could fight my way through this and I could stick around. The choice I made brought with it more pain than I could have ever believed that I could endure. The pain was so intense that I thought for sure I was going to die. And then when I didn't, there were moments when I wished that I would, just to escape that excruciating agony. 8 hours later, we made it to the hospital in the nearby town of Bulawayo. I could hear them talking. I heard things like, "Oh, doesn't look good." And I can hear all this talk about bits and pieces coming off, and I'm starting to panic again. I said, "Doc, please, I know that you're going to do what you've got to do, but what do you say you take the minimalist approach, huh?" I woke up staring at the whitewashed ceiling. My left arm had been amputated above the elbow. Oh, I felt sick to my stomach. I needed to know what was left of me. I looked. There were 2 legs. At the end of each leg was a foot. Each foot had 5 toes. Now, granted, the one foot was really mangled, but the bottom line was both of my feet were still attached to me. I leant back into the pillow and just thanked God. Losing my arm had turned out to be far more expensive than I could ever have imagined. My company was a thing of the past. I now had a dead-end desk job. I never got to see any of my friends anymore. I would just sit there, feeling miserable, feeling sorry for myself, pretty much from when I woke up in the morning to when I fell asleep at night. It came as no great surprise when Jess and I split up. I needed to start making smarter choices if I wanted to live a better life. A lot of people had written stories about what had happened to me, and it didn't seem to matter whose version it was. Man's attacked by hippo and maimed for life. I needed to be able to see what had happened to me, not as the end of the story, but as just another chapter in my story. So life was starting to feel good again. I decided what I wanted my new life to look like. Then I came up with a realistic plan for how I would get to where I was to where I wanted to be. Then I rolled up my sleeves and I went to work. Each day goes by and I get closer to reaching what I thought were my goals. I've come to realize that I'm actually living the life of my dreams. I think when you boil it down, what my message is you're the sum of your choices. You're exactly who, what, and where you choose to be in life. And that's applicable whether you're up to your waist down a hippopotamus's mouth, or if you've just gone through a personal tragedy, or if your organization's downsizing. Whatever happens, life is going to happen. But how you react to it, it's the sum of your choices. You are who, what, and where you choose to be in life.